Hi friends and welcome to the next episode of Pathik Lockdown Series Phase 2. My name is Sameer Surve and the topic for today is what is the most important skill in professional life, or rather I would say the most important skill in life. But before we proceed, I would like to remind you, if you have still not subscribed for the channel, please click on the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the bell icon so that you get a notification every time a new video is released. In case you have missed out the previous videos, you can click on the top left of the screen, which is of the card, so that you can read the description or the links for the previous videos as well. And one final request is, if you do like the video, please share it with your friends and acquaintances, because that was the primary purpose of shooting these videos, so that we help people face and go through the COVID crisis in a much better way, and we emerge stronger as a resultant effect of these videos. For now, let's go to the topic. What is the most important skill in life? So let's start with the stories. The first story, as you can see on your screen, I am sure you must have seen this, and this painting must be familiar to you, and some of you may have recognized it. Yeah, it's a part of the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Rome in Italy, and it was painted by the famous painter Michelangelo. The second story is about Apple. Well, we can use Apple devices. I mean, Steve Jobs was one who changed the whole face of the mobile industry. Mobile was just a communication device for data, for voice. But from that, today it has become a device which can even replace a computer or laptop. Now, all this was possible because of the software-based mobile phones that we have, and more so because of the touchscreen that we have. But do you know that touchscreen was not invented by Apple? It was invented by Nokia. Even IBM had a smartphone which had a touchscreen, I believe. But those ideas failed unless and until Steve Jobs was the person who really made it possible for us. And a third story is I want to share with you. It's about the famous shaving system that most of us use, and that is the Gillette Mark III razor blade. And that wouldn't have been possible but for Coleman Mockler, who headed the project and who thought first of all that something like a three-blade system or a twin-blade system could really make a mark in the industry and improve the way all the men shave in this world. And that could be priced at least about 20 times higher than the regular shaving razor that we had at that time. These are all success stories, but what am I trying to tell you with these stories? The question is, what is that one skill which Pope Julius II, the person who headed the project of the Sistine Chapel in Rome, what is the thing that Steve Jobs and Coleman Mockler, what is that skill that I'm talking about? What is the skill which they had in common? Which is the most important skill in which all of us should have in our life? Did you guess it as of now? If not, let me give you one more clue. Have you seen many of the talented actors, professionals, singers, business people? They have great amount of talent, yet they did not make it big in life. I'm sure you must have encountered some of them. And again, that is because they lack that one small skill. Conversely, I'm sure you must have seen a lot of talented, untalented or averagely talented singers, professionals, doctors, business people who have really made it big in life, and sometimes we envy them and say, this guy doesn't even have so much of talent, but how did he make it so big in life? Well, we attribute it to luck, but I would say it is because of this one skill that I am talking about. What is that skill? Can you still name the skill? My dear friends, let me give you one more clue. Let me tell you that Michelangelo was not ready to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. In fact, he thought he never had it in him. Michelangelo was least interested in that. It was the Pope, Julius II, who actually convinced him. Michelangelo wanted to be a sculptor. He thought he's not any good as a painter. But the Pope convinced him, and because, thank God, thank the whole world that the Pope could convince him, and because of we have those beautiful pieces of art at the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel today. Well, why did the idea of the touchscreen fail? Why did Nokia not implement it? Why did IBM not implement it? Because till then it was thought that the screen would be made of plain glass, and plain glass broke. It took Steve Jobs to convince the CEO of Corning's, the world's leading glass maker, to have a Gorilla Glass made only for mobile phones, and because of which we can use the phones that we have today. And when it comes to Coleman Mockler and Gillette, well, let me tell you, Gillette was about to be sold to Revlon, which is a beauty company. And at that time, the Gillette Mark III research process was going on, and they were pumping in millions and billions of dollars into that research, and the company was into losses. Had Revlon taken over Gillette, they would have killed the product, and we wouldn't have seen the face of Mark III today. But the Gillette and the blade came into being because of the insistence of Coleman Mockler, who convinced all the shareholders of Gillette at that time not to sell the company to Revlon. So all these three people use this skill, and because of this skill, these great products came into being and they were commercial successes. Have you guessed what that skill is? My dear friends, the name of that skill is called selling. There are so many people who underestimate the importance of this beautiful skill called selling. In fact, I have seen in my career there are so many people who detest selling. There are doctors, there are engineers, they feel it's not a sophisticated skill. It's like, forcing somebody, pushing people to spend their money. So they say, I don't like selling, I'm very far off from selling. And I have also seen people who feel it's not very sophisticated. I have also seen people who get into selling because they get no other option in their careers, and they are very keen to get out of selling as soon as possible. But the truth is far from all this. The truth is that all of us need to have the skill of selling. I would insist so much and say there are certain skills which should be made mandatory in school, like investing and selling. These are the two skills which every person should learn, whether you are an artist, whether you are a salesperson, whether you are a doctor, whether you are an engineer, whether you are an actor, whoever you are, you have to learn the skill of selling. Technically, if you ask me what is selling, the dictionary says selling is nothing but giving or handing over something in exchange of money. So too many people attach selling to commercialization, but far from it. Selling is also convincing somebody else of your ideas and what you think is right. Sometimes there could be no commerce involved. Like for instance, when the Pope was trying to convince Michelangelo, there was no money involved. But just imagine if he had not been able to convince Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel ceiling wouldn't be in existence today. And Italy as a country would have lost a lot of revenue which it is getting from the tourism, because people go there only to see those ceilings, the paintings made by Michelangelo over there. So many times commerce is not involved. When you are trying to convince your friend about something which you are deeply convinced about, that is also selling. When a teenager is trying to convince his or her parents about the career choice that they want to make, which the parents don't agree to, that is also a part of selling. So we all need to learn this very, very crucial and important skill in our life. According to us, selling is reaching your voice to the other person's heart and convincing him that it is for his good. So here's our definition of selling. When you sell something, many a times it so happens that the salesperson at the end of the sale says, "Thank you very much, sir," or "Thank you very much, ma'am, for your business." So the salesperson is thanking the customer for giving him business. Well, our definition of selling says when you sell something to somebody, it is not you should say thank you for that person for buying that product from you. It is the buyer who should say thank you for selling the product to him. How do you like that? So that means here in this case, you are not only convincing the opposite person about your product, you are not only charging money for the product, but you are also getting a thank you from the customer, because by selling the product, the value you add to the person is much more than the money that the person parts away and pays you in exchange of the product. When that happens, selling is an all win-win-win-win game. You get the tremendous satisfaction of contributing in somebody's life positively. You get a good customer as well as you earn money. Now, what happens when you do that? Is this practically possible? My dear friends, it is absolutely and practically possible. So, last year we had one program called Pathik Connect. It was supposed to be an offline program, but then ultimately we had to do it online. And during this program, you can see on your screen, we have this feedback from one of my students whose name is Uday Povre, who is at a very senior position. And he says, "Sameer, by learning from all the sessions, I have aligned myself to greater challenges. My team's monthly average SIP was 350 in the month of November, that is last year 2020, we were in the prime of the lockdown at that time. And now in this month we did 3,500 SIPs only 10 days. So from 350 they have gone to 3,500. Vincis is going on well, and I am working on the new business strategy. Recruited 25 new team members and getting good results initially." Now let's listen to what Uday has to say in his own words.
Happy Diwali friends, happy Dhanteras to all of you, and today we are here to celebrate more than 3000 SIPs. दोस्तों, मुझे लगान फिल्म का वो डायलॉग हमेशा याद है कि अगर हम सपने देखेंगे नहीं तो वो पूरे कहाँ से होंगे। दोस्तों, टिल यस्टरडे किसी ने ये सोचा नहीं होगा कि हम 3000 SIP भी कर सकते हैं। एक RM जो पूरे महीने में 5 SIP के लिए स्ट्रगल करता है, एक ब्रांच जो 50 SIP के लिए स्ट्रगल करती है और एक जोन जो 500 SIP का ड्रीम रखता है। क्या कोई सोच सकता था कि वो एक हफ्ते में मोर देन 3000 SIP करेगा? एंड टुडे यू हैव मेड द हिस्ट्री, वी हैव डन मोर देन 3000 SIP। टीम, हमेशा याद रखिए, अगर आपके सामने कोई भी कितने बड़े से बड़ा चैलेंज अगर खड़ा है, अगर आपका दिमाग और आपका दिल एक बार ये चीज ठान ले कि यस आई एम डूइंग इट, yes I can do it, then you are going to do it. Team, I really congratulate each one of you. हर एक कॉल जो आपने SIP लाने के लिए किया है, हर एक एफर्ट जो आपने ये टारगेट कंप्लीट करने के लिए किया है, हर एक ब्रांड मैनेजर जिसने अपने टीम को मोटिवेटेड रखा और ये टारगेट कंप्लीट किया, हर एक टीम लीडर जिसने पूरी मेहनत की और ये इंश्योर किया कि हमारा जोन मोर देन 3000 SIP करे। I really congratulate each one of you and I really mean it from bottom of my heart. दोस्तों, आज का दिन हमारे लाइफ में एक सबसे बड़ा सबक बन के रहेगा कि yes we can do it. अगर हमने सोचा तो हम लोग जरूर कर सकते हैं। Thank you.
Now you have seen what Uday did and what wonders he has created. Can you just imagine the kind of satisfaction which he has got? Can you imagine the kind of value he has added, the kind of confidence he has given to his team? Can you imagine the kind of value he has added to his customers? Now what happens when you're selling? What am I trying to tell you, my dear friends, is when you sell something and you gain positive feedback from your customers, you get one very powerful thing that you need in life, and that is called credibility. Once you gain credibility, people start believing in you as a person more than the product. So next time when you say something, they believe you because you have got something called credibility. You know, when I was new in my career and my trainer trained me, I used to envy him tremendously because I had mastered everything that he said. I was like a parrot. I used to almost kind of mimic him in saying every word that he spoke, and people used to tell me, you speak very well. In fact, they used to sometimes tell me, you are the second Aporosh, you just talk exactly like him. But when he stood on stage to sell a product or to sell his training programs, I was not even 1/10 as good. People never bought from me. And I always wondered, I say the same words, why don't people listen to me? And then years later, I realized the answer was credibility. Whenever he said something, they had credibility. And I'm sure even you must have experienced it in your life. Many a times when we say something to somebody else, somebody does not listen, but some other person says it and they listen to him simply because the other person has got more credibility than you. And the best way to earn credibility is to master the art of selling. Once that happens, you go to the next step. And that next step, my dear friends, is you become a brand. That means you gain trust. And when you become a brand, communicating, getting your ideas, getting your work done, selling, everything becomes very, 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 very easy. People may say that's bias, but that's not a bias. We all pay 10 times more for the same thing, which may be a commodity when there is no name on it, and when a name is put on it, it becomes a branded product, and for which we are able to pay 10 times more, and that's what I'm talking about. Now that's what you can gain even as a personal brand when you learn the art of selling. Now how do you learn selling? Now that's a tough one because I don't think it can be imparted in a video like this in a matter of few minutes, but I will actually really simplify the process just to tell you what is the crux of the process. And then of course, it's up to you to go about on the journey to imbibe this skill. So at the heart of it lies being absolutely a firm believer of the idea or the product that you're selling. You have to be absolutely convinced about the idea that you're selling or the product that you're selling. Step number 2 is listening to the person or your prospect or the customer or the person whom you're trying to sell and understanding his or her problem. This is the step where you can gain personal credibility. Then comes the most important step where the skill lies, the heart of selling lies, is asking the right questions so that you connect the benefits of your product or the idea with the answers which the person gives. Now this is where the skill lies, and once that happens, you don't have to do selling. The product gets sold on itself. Now this is easier said than done. It's a long drawn process of learning, practicing, trying again and again, but you have to start somewhere. So my advice is please don't skip this as saying I am going to take an option on this, I am not going to do this. It is a must for everybody. If you are a good salesman, hone your skills better. If you are not, start selling from today. And the day is not far when you would become a brand, and your life, you can start living life on your own terms. I hope you like this video. If you have liked it, share it with others, click on the like button, and that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening to me, and see you again in the next episode next week. Bye-bye.